fast results, fast answers, waiting can feel like suffering. And when prayers seem unanswered, we begin to wonder, God, are you even there? But maybe, this video found you at the exact moment it was supposed to. Not a second too early. Not a second too late. Just like a comforting call from a friend after a rough day. Just like finding that one Bible verse that hits you right in the soul. Just like watching the sunset in complete silence, feeling something bigger than yourself. This isn't just a coincidence. This is a whisper. God's whisper. A reminder that even when your world feels quiet, heaven is not. So take a breath. Be still. And lean in. Because comfort doesn't always come through miracles. Sometimes, it comes through moments, sacred, small, and perfectly timed. And this, right now, might be one of them. And this, right now, might be one of them. Because God doesn't always show up in thunder or lightning. Sometimes, He shows up in quiet moments like this, through a screen, in a whisper, in a breath you didn't realize you were holding. You see, we live in a culture that worships speed. We microwave our meals, we track our packages minute by minute, and we want healing to come overnight, instant gratification. That's the American way, right? But God? God moves in eternity, not urgency. And maybe that's the very reason you've been frustrated lately. Maybe you've been asking questions like, why is this taking so long? Why hasn't He answered yet? Why do I feel like I'm standing still while the world is passing me by? But what if the delay isn't punishment, it's preparation? What if the "not yet" is actually mercy? Because here's the truth no one likes to hear. We are not always ready for what we're praying for. Sometimes God holds back the very thing you're begging for, not because He's cruel, but because He loves you too much to give you something that your soul isn't ready to carry yet. It's like asking a child to drive a car just because they want to. Wanting doesn't equal readiness. And our Heavenly Father, He knows that better than anyone. Maybe you've been praying for healing, but He's building endurance. Maybe you've been praying for a relationship, but He's teaching you identity first. Maybe you've been praying for a breakthrough, but He's showing you how to stand still and not break under pressure. It's not delay. It's development. And that's where most people miss it, because waiting feels like wasting. But with God, nothing is wasted. Nothing. Every closed door. Every unanswered prayer. Every lonely Friday night. Every job rejection. Every tear on your pillow that no one saw. Every moment you felt invisible. God was there. Not silent, but working. Because He's not just writing a story, He's developing the character that will carry the story. And maybe, just maybe, this is the scene where everything starts to shift. Right here. Right now. Because you didn't come across this message randomly. You were guided. Led. Nudged. Not by a YouTube algorithm. By the hand of God. That nudge you felt to click, that whisper in your spirit that said, just one more try, that's how God works. Quietly. Faithfully. Right on time. Never early. Never late. And I know, trust me, I know, it's hard to believe in God's timing when your heart is tired and your hope feels thin. But there is a reason why the Bible doesn't say, walk by feelings. It says, walk by faith. Because faith doesn't need evidence. It just needs trust. And here's what I've learned. God is never in a hurry. But He is never wrong either. So if you're waiting, if you're breaking, if you're barely holding it together, this is your reminder that the wait is not a wall. It's a bridge. A sacred in-between space where heaven is aligning everything for your good. You don't have to understand it right now. You just have to stay. Stay faithful. Stay soft. Stay open. Because when the moment comes, and it won't just make sense. It will make you grateful for every unanswered prayer that led you here. And when that moment comes, you'll realize. You weren't late. You were being led. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared. And sometimes, God prepares us in ways that don't look anything like preparation at all. Sometimes, it looks like a detour. A delay. A disappointment. A heartbreak you thought you'd never recover from. Sometimes, it's just, you, alone in your room, scrolling through your phone at 2:07 a.m., thinking you're just wasting time. But then, something catches your eye. A thumbnail. A title. A still voice inside that whispers, "Watch this." And suddenly, you're here, listening to this voice, this message, wondering how it feels so personal. So specific. So timely. Friend, that's not coincidence. That's care. That's the kind of divine detail that we overlook every single day, because we've been trained to think that God only shows up in big, dramatic ways. Burning bushes. Parting seas. Miraculous healings. But what about the little things? What about the quiet ways He protects you, or redirects you? Like when you missed that job interview, only to find out the company collapsed 6 months later. Or when that person stopped texting you, and now, looking back, you realize God was saving you from something you didn't even see. Or when your plans fell apart, but your heart somehow remained intact. That's not luck. That's not chance. That's not the universe aligning in your favor. That is the hand of a personal God who sees farther than you do, feels deeper than you can, and loves you more than you could ever comprehend. He's not far. He's not disconnected. He's not too busy running the world to notice you. In fact, you are the very reason He's been orchestrating certain moments in the background, just like this one. See, sometimes we want fireworks, and He gives us flickers. We want thunder, and He gives us whispers. Because God doesn't need volume to get your attention. He just needs a heart that's still listening. And if you're here, if you're still listening, if something inside you is saying, "How does this video know what I'm going through?" Then let me tell you something that might shake your soul a little. This message was prepared before you even knew you needed it. The script. The words. The timing. The way it landed in your hands tonight, today, this moment. That's not accidental. That's intentional. You see, before you were formed in the womb, God already knew how to reach you. He knew when you'd feel tired. He knew when you'd want to give up. He knew when you'd be crying alone in your car with no one to call. And He knew exactly how to reach through the noise, and find you. Maybe He used a friend. Maybe He used a stranger's post on your timeline. Maybe He used this very moment. But whatever He used, it's because he refuses to let you drift too far without reminding you. You are still seen. You are still loved. And you are still held, even when you don't feel it. Because here's what you need to understand. Coincidence is what we call it when we don't recognize the fingerprints of God. But when you look closer, really look, you'll start to notice them everywhere. In the lyrics of a song that hits you at the exact right time. In the stranger who smiles at you when you needed it most. In the quiet moments you thought were empty, but were actually full of grace. We serve a God who leaves no detail untouched. So no, this is not just another video. This is not just motivational content. This is not random. This is care. Wrapped in pixels. Delivered through a voice. Showing up when you least expected, but most needed it. And if you're still doubting whether this really is for you, let me say this as clearly as I can. You wouldn't be hearing these words right now if God didn't want you to. You didn't find this. He brought it to you. Because that's what a father does. He comes for his child, even if he has to use the internet to do it. And maybe, just maybe, this moment right here is not just about giving you comfort for tonight. Maybe it's about giving you evidence to carry with you tomorrow. Proof that you are not abandoned. Proof that God still speaks, and He knows your language. Even if it sounds like a whisper through a video at the end of a long, exhausting day. Even if it sounds like a whisper through a video at the end of a long, exhausting day. And maybe that whisper isn't just comfort. Maybe it's healing. But here's the thing about healing that no one really talks about. It rarely starts with a miracle. It often starts with stillness. With the kind of quiet that makes most people uncomfortable, the kind where your phone is finally down, your mind isn't racing, and there's nothing left to distract you from what's really going on in your heart. In America, we've been taught to distract pain, not deal with it. We numb with entertainment. We self-medicate with scrolling. We push through with toxic strength, with phrases like, "I'm fine. It is what it is. Just keep going." But what if the thing you really need is to stop? Not permanently, just long enough to finally listen. Because God isn't always in the noise. Sometimes, the most sacred breakthroughs happen in the quietest corners of your soul. It's in that moment when the house is silent. When the kids are asleep. When the emails are done. When there's no one left to impress. When you finally look in the mirror, and ask the question you've been avoiding. God, what's really going on in me? That's where healing begins. Not on a stage. Not in a worship conference. Not in front of others. But in the secret place, that sacred, holy, tender space where your soul finally exhales. Where you stop pretending. Where you stop performing. Where you stop trying to act strong, and finally admit, "I'm hurting." That's not weakness. That's the beginning of transformation. Because listen carefully. God can only heal what you're willing to bring to Him. And if you're always hiding your pain behind positivity, if you're always covering your wounds with smiles, if you're always saying, "God is good," but secretly asking, "But am I?" then you're not giving Him access to the deepest parts of you. He's not interested in your performance. He's after your permission. Your permission to enter the parts of your story that still ache. The father wound you don't talk about. The shame that still haunts you from years ago. The fear that keeps you up at night, wondering if you'll ever truly be enough. God sees all of it. And He's not intimidated by it. He's not ashamed of you. He's not disappointed in your brokenness. In fact, it's in that brokenness that He does His best work. But it starts with a question, a bold, quiet, vulnerable question whispered through tears. God, can you still heal me? And the answer, the one your heart's been aching to hear, is not always shouted from the heavens. Sometimes, it's spoken right here, right now, in a voice like this one, telling you. Yes. Yes, He can. And yes. He will. But He needs your heart to listen, not just to His promises, but to your own pain. To stop running from it. To stop covering it. To stop believing that if you ignore it long enough, it'll just go away. Because pain that isn't healed doesn't disappear. It hides, in your habits, in your relationships, in your patterns, in your sleepless nights and anxiety that you can't explain. But today, you can choose something different. You can choose to pause. To breathe. To stop scrolling for just a moment and sit with what you're feeling. Not to drown in it, but to invite God into it. He won't rush you. He won't shame you. He won't demand that you be okay. He'll just sit with you, in the silence, and start to speak to the places you've locked away for years. And that, right there, that's where the real healing begins. Not in the moment you say you're fine. But in the moment you say, God, I'm not. And instead of turning away, He leans in, closer than you've ever imagined. Because He's not afraid of your honesty. He honors it. And if you're feeling something stirring inside right now, a lump in your throat, a tear you didn't expect, don't run from it. That's not weakness. That's a sacred invitation. An invitation to stop carrying everything alone. To lay it down. To let the healer step into the parts of your life that you thought were beyond repair. Because nothing is too broken for God. Not you. Not your story. Not your past. Not your pain. So just for tonight, or just for this moment. Can you stop running? Can you stop fixing? Can you stop numbing? And just let your heart be still enough, to listen. Because if you do, you might just hear something that changes everything. Not a shout. Not a miracle in flashing lights. But a whisper that says, I'm still here. I've always been here. And I'm not leaving you, not now, not ever. I'm still here. I've always been here. And I'm not leaving you, not now, not ever. And maybe, that's exactly why this showed up today. Because God knows when you're tired of trying. Tired of waiting. Tired of praying the same prayer over and over with no answer in sight. You're not alone in that. In fact, it's often when we reach the end of ourselves, that God begins. He waits until the noise fades. Until your plans fall through. Until your strength runs dry. Not to punish you, but to remind you. You were never meant to do this alone. You've been asking for a sign, maybe this is the sign. No, it didn't come wrapped in lightning or thunder. It came quietly. Through a voice. Through a screen. Through a moment you almost skipped. Because that's how God works. He speaks in the unexpected. And if this message found you when you were ready to walk away, Maybe that's because God is walking toward you. Right now. Still speaking. Still pursuing. Still loving you, even in your lowest place. Still loving you, even in your lowest place. And maybe, this right here is your moment. Not loud. Not dramatic. No stage. No applause. Just you, and God. Because when heaven moves, it doesn't always shake the earth. Sometimes, it just stirs your heart. Maybe you were expecting breakthrough to look bigger. To come with clear signs. To feel different than this. But God doesn't always come with lightning. Sometimes, He comes like this. A gentle moment. A soft reminder. A quiet presence that says, you haven't missed it. You're right on time. You're healing. It doesn't have to begin with fireworks. It can start right here, in this silent yes. Yes to hope. Yes to starting over. Yes to believing again. This isn't just another night. This is personal. This is sacred. This is yours. This is yours. And maybe, just maybe, it's what you didn't even know you were waiting for. Because deep down, beneath the surface, beneath the strength you show everyone, there's been this quiet ache. A simple question you've carried, maybe for months, maybe for years. Did God forget about me? You haven't said it out loud. But you've felt it. Every time you saw someone else get the thing you've been praying for. Every time the silence stretched a little too long. Every time you showed up for others, and wondered if anyone would ever show up for you. And now, here you are. Still standing. Still holding on, but just barely. Friend, let me say this slowly, so your heart can finally hear it. You have not been forgotten. Not for a second. Not even in the moments when you felt completely invisible. Heaven has not overlooked you. God has not misplaced you. The world may have moved on. People may have left. Opportunities may have passed. But God still sees you. He sees the nights you cried quietly so no one would hear. He sees the way you've kept showing up, even with a heart running on empty. He sees the prayers you've whispered, the ones you barely believed would reach past your ceiling. And even now, as you listen to this message, maybe with tears in your eyes, maybe holding back emotion you didn't expect, God is reminding you. I've been here the whole time. Not distant. Not distracted. Present. Protecting you in ways you didn't even notice. Shielding you from things you didn't know were coming. Delaying some things, not to punish you, but to preserve you. Because He doesn't just want to give you good things. He wants to give you the right things. At the right time. In the right way. In the right place, with a heart finally ready to receive them. So no, this isn't late. This is exactly when you needed it. This is the reminder that God hand-wrapped for you. Not mass-produced. Not generic. But crafted, with your pain, your past, your journey, your name, written into it. He knew you'd need it. He knew the exact second it would matter most. And He brought it to you now, when you were quiet enough to feel it, and desperate enough to receive it. Because this isn't just comfort for today. It's a marker. A moment in time that you'll look back on and say, That's when something shifted. That's when I knew I wasn't alone. That's when I finally believed. I'm not forgotten. So let this moment settle deep in your soul. Let it interrupt the lie that says, you don't matter. Let it silence the fear that says, nothing will ever change. Let it bury the shame that says, you've missed your chance. Because you haven't. Your story isn't over. Your breakthrough hasn't expired. Your name is still known in heaven. And even now, the God of all creation is leaning in, close enough to whisper to your soul. I see you. I know you. I've never stopped loving you. And I am not finished with you. You are not forgotten. You are not too far gone. You are not disqualified. You are seen. You are held. And you are still deeply, wildly, endlessly loved. This is the reminder heaven sent for you. Exactly when you needed it.